Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass. And today we're talking another Chiefs top 30 visit, this time with Ohio State defensive tackle Michael Hall Jr. Steve, let's talk about it.
Before we get started, just wanted to take a second to say thanks for watching All Chiefed Up. Please hit that like button, get this out to more Chiefs fans, and do your boys a favor. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Mike, I've been a fan of Michael Hall Jr. since early on in this draft process. I think I brought him up to you a long time ago.
Michael Hall Jr. is a smaller guy. He's a little unicorn at the position, if you will. Let's take a look at him. Michael Hall Jr. from Streetsboro, Ohio, 6'3", 290. That is the difference. He's not very big, Steve. It's a size issue here with Michael Hall Jr. I did hear that he may have reported to Pro Day around 300, but I can't confirm that one. 33.5-inch arms, 10-inch hands. Here's the production score, man. 13th overall with DTs. Third overall athleticism score, 6th overall total score, Steve. In 3 years, he redshirted in 2021. He played 4 games as a reserve. In 2022, he's an honorable mention All Big Ten Conference, tied for the team lead with 4.5 sacks, played in 12 games with 5 starts. He played through a shoulder injury, so he's a tough guy. In 2023, third team All Big Ten Conference, played in 12 games with 7 starts, 24 tackles, 2 for loss, and 1.5 sacks, Steve. So Michael Hall Jr., smaller guy, that's going to be the knock on him. He's not your big 310, 320-pound defensive tackle, but we've seen the league. This is kind of changing a little bit.
Yeah, Aaron Donald kind of made a spot for guys like this, right? And then we had Kalijah Kancey last season that came out and went to Tampa Bay. He was pretty successful there in his rookie season. There's a lot of undersized guys that can get things done. Hell, we have one on our team with Turk Wharton. So, I mean, there are guys that can come in and contribute in the NFL at that size, and some can be dominant, man. We're going to take a look at the strengths, according to Lance Zierlein over on NFL.com. Was dominant against Senior Bowl competition at times, corkscrews, post leg into ground for added double-team anchor. Impressive ability to absorb contact and play off the block. Beat single blocks with slide step and arm over move. Attacks one edge while setting up to counter the other in his rush. And active hands and short area quickness bring pressure to the pocket. Mike, that's kind of what I saw when I watched his tape. He used his speed and that slide step quite a bit, but he seemed to be pretty smart and he could take on double teams well.
Right. Well, in 2023, he had a 77.2 grade from PFF, 69.5 run defense, 84.8 pass rush, and he had 29 pressures, dude. So he's a very fun player. He's got a very high ceiling. He reminds me a little bit of Rook Orororo, who also is coming out in this draft. He's a little more, I don't want to say raw than Rook. I think Rook's actually more raw than he is. But I think Rook's got a chance to develop and be in the league for a long period of time. Whereas I feel like Michael Hall Jr. is a true definition of a gamble. He's a true boomer bust guy. You could get 5 sacks, you could get 10 sacks per year, or he could be completely off the team within 2 to 3 years because he just didn't work out. But boy, he's got an arm over move. He's got a spin move. He's twitchy. He's one of the most twitchy DTs I watched in this whole entire thing, because going through and watching defensive tackles outside of Byron Murphy Jr. and Johnny Newton from Illinois, Braden Fisk showed up at the combine and destroyed it, right? But other than those 3 guys, Michael Hall Jr. was the twitchy one, and he was the fun guy. He was the guy that got after the quarterback, shot the gaps. His feet was really good. He danced his feet. He's so quick that guards and centers couldn't handle him, and he's a guy that I think you could throw on the field and get after the passer on a third down. So, I mean, he's not a prototypical defensive tackle by any means, but I do think if you line him up next to Chris Jones and maybe the 3 technique, the 4, he's even played off-ball linebacker before, a couple snaps. I don't want to make you think he does that all the time. He's done it like twice, but they did trust him to do that, and he's went in coverage, and pretty sure he scored like a 69 in a coverage grade. So that just shows his versatility and athleticism.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what it's going to take for Michael Hall Jr. in the NFL. Expose people with his athleticism.
Right.
Like with guards, he's got to beat them with quickness. He also has very active hands and arms. Like he's going to whip those guys out of the way. He can handle the guards. It could get a little sketchy in double teams in the NFL because of his size. But yeah, he's got to use that speed, man. He's got to use his athleticism to win. And I think the only problem there, and the reason why people are a little skeptical, is because when you're jumping from college level to NFL level, that's a huge gap in competition. So I think they're a little bit afraid that he doesn't have anything but physical raw capability, that his size is going to limit him.
Right. Size is always going to be the limitation here. That's always going to be the knock. We've heard that throughout this entire process with Jerzon Newton. we like Johnny Newton. We think he can get after
Yeah.
it, but we heard it last year with Kalijah Cansey. He proved, as you said, man, it's changing throughout the defenses and defensive lines. The body types are changing. A lot of people don't see the body type they like with them or whatever, but that's just personal preference, and I think defenses are starting to come around to the way this is. In 2023, he had a pass rush grade of an 84.8. That is huge. Check this one out. And a true pass set rush. So take out RPOs, take out quick screens, take out all that. Just a true pass set when the quarterback went back to pass the ball and they had to just block and put him in a pocket. He had a pass rush grade of an 87.6. That is immense QB pressure. And his win rate was 18.3%. So almost 1 out of every 5 snaps he is getting by his guy. He is blowing by him. He's shooting gaps. He's overpowering with the swim move, the bull rush, whatever he's got. He's getting back there. And he's making plays in the backfield, dude. And that's all you can ask for is a disruptor on the interior. That's what Michael Hall Jr. is.
Absolutely. So where do you think he fits into the Chiefs scheme of things in defensive tackle? Because we know they went and signed Mike Pennell, Derek Nottie. You got all those big guys still, and then you had Isaiah Buggs and Neil Farrell Jr., which are all big run stuffer type guys. Michael Hall Jr. is not that. He's more like Turk Wharton. But with Turk Wharton on the team and all those other guys, where would Michael Hall fit into the defense?
He's not going to be the guy that comes in and stops the run. He's just not going to do it. I think his run stop rate was a 7.3%, not the highest. He's going to get with NFL competition. I do believe as quick as he is and everything, they still will have the athletes to match this at the center and the guard. We're seeing guards get paid out the wazoo this offseason. Imagine him going up against Trey Smith. Trey Smith's eventually going to get his hands on him. He's going to wallop a guy that's only 290. So he's got to play a little bit bigger. He's got to get to that 305, 310 mark. Can he keep that elite speed and twitchiness there? That remains to be seen. I think he's going to go somewhere third round, fourth round. You want to take a flyer on him. And again, he could be a guy to come in and do the Turk Wharton kind of things. He can move up and down the line. I do believe. I don't think they would play him all the way out as a 7 technique or a 9 technique out on the edge like they'll do Chris Jones. But at the same time, I do think he's got the quickness to do that. So maybe Spags could experiment with that kind of stuff. So I do believe it's a guy you could take a flyer pick on. It's a big boomer bust kind of thing. I think he adds solid depth, but I think it's for more pass rushing situations. It's not going to be early down work at all.
I like Michael Hall Jr. Like I said, I like his athleticism, his speed, his production in college. You just watch his tape. He was fun to watch, always putting pressure on the quarterback, getting into that backfield. I think size is definitely going to be his limiter, so we'll see where he falls in this draft or how a team is going to use him. Because I know in the NFL, a lot of times he's so small, he can just get hit with a stiff punch or something and get knocked off of his rush path, even if he's winning. So I think there's a lot of limitations for him. But if he can overcome those, if he could put on a little bit more weight or figure out how to get around that, man, I think he could be a really good football player.
Right. And one of the things, I said he had a true pass rush grade at 87.6 and a win rate of 18.3. But if you think about that, as much as he dominated guys in college at the center and the guard, you know, those guys on the interior, if you look through his big games, his best game came against Indiana, first game of the season, and then Michigan at the last game of the season before the bowl game. I think that was the Big Ten championship, actually. 86.4 grade. And if you look at how all this works and all this speed and all this, you know, these moves and these quick feet and how disruptive he is, he had 22 hurries, but he only had 2 sacks and 5 hits. So he doesn't get a lot of production out of it. If you go back to 2022, he only had 5 sacks and 4 hits. So 7 sacks in the past 2 seasons, even though he is a guy that is a specialist, get out there and get after the quarterback in passing situations. And it really didn't translate over into a lot of sacks. I would have liked to have seen 6-7 sacks per season. If this is what you do, this is your specialty. So to only have 7 sacks and 9 hits in 2 years, I don't know. And by the way, only 22 hurries according to PFF this season, which I think some other people have had him at 26, 29, depending, but only 7 in 2022. So in 2022, he was higher graded, but I don't feel like he was as good as getting after the passer or creating as much chaos in the backfield. So I feel like he's got a lot to be desired there. And at his size, I'd have liked to see more production. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a weird thing to be talking about, but I feel like the production doesn't match the athleticism at this point.
Well, I think that goes back to the point I was making earlier, Mike. He can win reps. He can put pressure on the quarterback, but he's got to figure out how to not get redirected by guys.
100%.
Because he's so small. They're just knocking him off of his rush path, and it's making it difficult for him to finish. If he can figure that part out, I think he might have a career in the NFL.
Right. His height, 6'2", it's a 36th percentile. His weight's 290. That's 13th percentile. That means 87% of all DTs at the combine, at pro days, are weighing more than he is, dude. And that's just not anything. Now, his wingspan is huge, 81 and an 1/8 inch wingspan. That's in the 75th percentile, which means only 25% of guys have a bigger wingspan than him. So that's pretty good. I think he's got a lot going for him. But again, at the end of the day, it's just a project. It's going to be a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick somewhere in the middle of the draft.
It's an intriguing one, though. It is an intriguing project.
Very intriguing. A guy that you can just kind of let him pin his ears back in pass rush situations and let him go. I think Spags could have fun with him as well. See what he can do. Even if he was drafted, I wouldn't expect him to come in here and be a world beater in year 1, maybe even year 2.
Right.
I think he's a guy that you have to develop, and it's a thing where can he develop or not? That's going to be Michael Hall Jr.'s entire career. Can he develop into that guy or can he not? I think it's going to do it for the day, Steve. Thanks for liking, subscribing, hitting that bell. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Chiefs.